This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. When you sit in silence long enough, you begin to hear the machinery of your own mind. You start to notice the loops, the recycled fears, the repeated doubts, the quiet echoes of people who stopped believing long before you started. That is when you realize that the real war isn't out there. It's inside you. Every day your mind runs on programs you didn't install. Every thought you did that questioned became a belief. Every belief you did that upgrade became a limitation. And every limitation you failed to confront became a wall between you and your potential. This isn't just philosophy, it's neurobiology. The human mind is designed to conserve energy by repeating what it already knows, even if what it knows is keeping you small. That is why you can read, lay, visualize, and still fall back into the same patterns, because your subconscious believes safety is more valuable than success. Until you train it otherwise, your mind will always choose comfort over change. That's why these 40 minutes matter. This isn't entertainment, it's reprogramming. The first step to rewiring your life is radical awareness. Not passive observation, not intellectual understanding, but ruthless awareness of what your mind is doing when you're not watching. Every thought is a seed and your attention is water. Wherever you let it flow, something grows. Spend your mornings watering worry, and by evening you'll harvest fear. Spend your nights watering gratitude and vision, and you'll wake to opportunity. The universe has never stopped sending you abundance. It's simply been rerouted by your inner conversation. If your internal dialogue is chaotic, your external life will be too. That's not metaphor. It's magnetic resonance. Energy follows emotion, and emotion follows focus. So the real question isn't how do I get what I want? The question is, why do I keep feeding what I don't? You must learn to become a deliberate gardener of thought. Every morning when you wake, before the world rushes in, sit still and observe your first 5 thoughts. Those are your autopilot commands. They decide how you feel, act, and respond. If those first thoughts are about lack, guilt, or frustration, your mind will spend the rest of the day confirming them. But if those thoughts are about strength, gratitude, and purpose, you'll find that reality begins to match the blueprint. This is not mystical and mathematical. The brain builds neural highways based on repetition. The more you repeat an idea, the faster and easier it becomes to believe. That's why the greatest investment you'll make isn't in the stock market, it's in the repetition of truth. Warren Buffett says the chains of habit are too late to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. Your thoughts are the same. What you see casually today becomes what you live consistently tomorrow. You cannot think yourself free, you must train yourself free. Repetition is the tool, discipline is the vehicle, identity is the destination. You are not stuck as life is unfair, you are stuck as your mind is untrained. The same discipline you apply to money must be applied to thought. Audit it, track it, reinvest it. Every negative belief is its expense. Empowering one a dividend. You can't build wealth while living in mental debt. So each morning, pay your subconscious first. Deposit gratitude, clarity, and vision before the day begins. Speak your intention aloud. I am in control of my mind. My thoughts serve my purpose. My actions follow my command. Repeat it as its mantra, but cut instruction. Because your subconscious does not respond to hope. It responds to order. And when the old patterns return, and they don't fight them, observe them like a scientist. The moment you see a negative thought for what it is, it loses its power. Awareness dissolves illusion. The thought only had control when it was invisible. This is why most people never change. They try to fight their thoughts instead of replacing them. But the mind doesn't delete, it overwrites. You cannot erase an old pattern by resisting it. You must install a new one and repeat it until it becomes dominant. That's how you outgrow old versions of yourself. You don't destroy them, you evolve beyond their usefulness. Remember, your subconscious isn't your enemy, it's a loyal servant. It doesn't know right from wrong, good from bad, it only knows repetition. If you feed it fear, it'll build you a cage. If you feed it purpose, it'll build you a kingdom. So the question comes, what orders are you giving your mind each day? Puffman issue commands unconsciously. I'm tired, I can't afford that. It's too late for me. And their mind obeys because it must. But a man who understands mental law begins each day with authority. He wakes and speaks as a builder. He commands focus, discipline, and wealth into motion, not with arrogance, but with certainty. Because he knows the law, thoughts become things, words become worlds, identity becomes destiny. You must understand, this process is not a one-time revelation, it's a lifelong recalibration. The same way muscles atrophy when neglected, the mind weak when untrained. So you must treat your daily thoughts like a gym. Each morning is a repetition, each affirmation a rep. Some days you'll feel resistance. That good, it means you're lifting the mental weight that used to control you. Over time, the repetition builds neural muscle. Focus becomes easier, doubt weaker, confidence automatic. That when you've rewired the system. That when success stops being effort and starts being expression. So if you want to change your life, don't start with your schedule, start with your sentences. Don't start with your goals, start with your grammar. Speak with the authority of a man who already has what he's building. But with the posture of someone chosen to rise, act with the discipline of someone watched by destiny, because in truth you are. These 40 minutes are not entertainment, they are initiation. If you listen daily, if you repeat these truths, if you replace every doubt with decision, then one morning you'll wake up and realize you no longer have to force it. The wealth, the focus, the discipline, they'll all have become your new normal. That's what rewiring feels like. Not fireworks alignment, not hype clarity. When a man begins to command his mind, he realizes that freedom was never about escape, it was about mastery. Most people try to escape their circumstances, their jobs, their relationships, their past, thinking that if they can just rearrange the external world, the internal will follow. But life does not bend to the man who is chaotic inside. The storms of circumstance always obey the winds of thought. You cannot outwork a belief that you are unworthy. You cannot outrun a story that says you fail. And you cannot rise beyond a mind that has not yet been trained to serve you. This is the great illusion of progress without presence, movement without correction. You may work 12 hours a day, read every book, chase every method, and still feel stuck as you are building upon an unexamined foundation. Your subconscious is the architect of your results, and it did not build higher than the limits you have drawn within it. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. And who you are is not decided in moments of emotion, it is forged in moments of repetition. The man who wins does not win because he tries harder. He wins because he installs laws into his being and obeys them even when it hurts. That's what rewiring really means, replacing impulse with intention, reaction with rhythm, doubt with declaration. The most dangerous thing a man can do is to wait until he feels ready. Feelings are followers, not leaders. The mind obeys structure. If you create a clear order, a ritual of thought, of command, of certainty, emotion will eventually follow. The problem is most men reverse this order. They let emotion dictate action and then wonder why their lives are inconsistent. Ställa med structural hållers när I live framösten. Det still högt upp checken och gajans odds forward. But emotion is its weather what when the thing be. But emotion is its weather, it changes by the hour. Law is its gravity, it never wavers. Build your life upon emotion, and you'll forever be tossed by storms. Build it upon law, and even when thunder roars, your foundation will not move. You must therefore become a man of mental law. That means every morning before you touch your phone, before you open your mouth, before you let the world inside, you remind yourself who you are and what governs you. You are not your mood. You are not your failures. You are not the echoes of people who gave up on themselves. You are thought made flesh, idea made form, purpose made visible. You are not fit to survive. You are ready to create. To think with precision is to create with power. If you can hold a single thought with focus for longer than most people can scroll, you are already rare. Hold it long enough and the universe will rearrange itself to mirror it. That is not mysticism, it is mathematics. Thought sustained with emotion becomes vibration. Vibration repeated becomes form. Enough. Every fortune, every revolution, every breakthrough began with one man holding one thought, larger than anyone else dared to. The question then is not whether your life can change, it is whether you can hold a vision long enough for it to take root. Most men quit not because they lack intelligence, but they lack consistency of focus. They scatter their attention like loose coins, hoping that a handful will return interest. But wealth of mind, the wealth of money, is a result of compound focus. Every time you return your attention to your definite purpose, every time you replace distraction with decision, you add interest to your mental capital. Stay consistent long enough, and the results become inevitable. The man who understands this law no longer seeks motivation. He becomes momentum. Let me tell you a truth few you'll realize. The universe does not respond to need. It responds to order. Need is chaotic. Order is magnetic. When you say, I want success, your subconscious hears, layers, and reproduces it. When you say, I am success in motion, your subconscious hears law and begins to manifest it. Speak if you already are what you seek, and your nervous system will begin to align with that identity. That is the science of transformation, not pretending, but preconditioning. The mind does not know the difference between vivid imagination and present reality. It simply obeys the command you give it most often. So what are you telling it every day? When you say, I'm tired, your body slows. When you say, I can't, your energy collapses. But when you say, I am built for this, every cell begins to move in harmony with that truth. You must learn to live as if the new version of you has already arrived. That doesn't mean arrogance, it means alignment. You speak differently. You think strategically. You no longer chase validation because you know who you are. That's what mastery looks like, quiet confidence. You no longer rush because you understand that time is not your enemy. It is your instrument. You no longer panic at delay because you real. Delay is refinement. You no longer chase opportunities because you are too busy becoming one. That is what happens when a man truly rewires his mind. His outer world bends to his inner order. If you do this daily, even for 40 minutes a day, everything begins to change. Your relationships shift, your income grows, your energy strengthens, but the biggest transformation happens in your eyes. They sharpen, they focus, because you are no longer scanning the horizon for help, you are scanning it for conquest. You are no longer waiting for proof that it's working. Your very existence becomes the proof. You have become the evidence of the law you obey. And the longer you live in this alignment, the more powerful it becomes. What once took years now takes months. What once felt impossible becomes predictable, because the man who commands his mind no longer needs to wait for miracles, he creates them. You will know you are changing when silence begins to feel powerful, when solitude becomes sacred, when thoughts feels like fire, that when the old world will start to fall away, not because you destroyed it, but because you outgrew it. You'll begin to notice you no longer fit in conversations that used to entertain you. You'll no longer chase distractions that used to numb you. The old you try to pull you back, whispering that it's too much, too lonely, too uncertain. But remember this, the discomfort you feel is not punishment, it's proof. It means your mind is being rewritten. Every time you sit in that tension without retreating, you're laying a new track of thought. You're replacing survival with sovereignty. You're rewiring chaos into command. There will come a moment, perhaps quietly, without applause, when you realize that everything you once chased has begun to orbit around you. The clients, the money, the peace, the clarity, the opportunities, they begin to flow naturally. Not because you suddenly became lucky, because you became aligned. The world does not reward effort alone. It rewards energetic precision. You stopped begging and started broadcasting. You stopped wishing and started commanding. You started in morning not by checking who messaged you, but by reminding your mind who it works for. You no longer wake a servant to circumstance. You rise as a governor of thought. That is the moment a manpower becomes inevitable. You become like a magnet, not frantic, not loud, but certain.
You speak less, but everything you say carries more weight. You win less, but every layer you root lands with force. Because your life has become one vain, continuous declaration of identity. I am the cause, not the effect. I am the designer, not the driftwood. I am the one who decides. The reason few reach this point is because they underestimate the discipline of thought. They think the work is external, waking early, grinding harder, managing time. And yes, those are tools, but without mastery of mind, they are weapons without a target. Every empire begins within the skull. Every fortune begins between two ears. The external structure only manifests after the internal one has stabilized. Think of your mind in the boardroom of your destiny. Every morning you walk in as the CEO, the architect, the chief strategist. If you do not call that meeting consciously, your fear will. It is sit at the head of the table. It is assign orders, and your body will carry them out without protest. That is how most lives are lived, unconsciously directed by unseen habits and inherited beliefs.
But you are learning to take the chair back. You are learning to issue deliberate commands to your subconscious, clear, unemotional, structured commands, and the universe will respond like an obedient employee. Because law follows authority, and authority begins in thought. When you wake tomorrow, don't scroll, don't speak, don't move until you've issued your orders. This is how builders of wealth begin their day. Stand, breathe deeply, and remind yourself, my mind is my greatest asset. My thoughts are my currency. My attention is my capital. If my focus determines my fortune, then speak your day into order. Today, I command clarity in all decisions. I invite wealth because I move with intention. I am prepared for opportunities that others ignore. My mind is a field of order, and my actions produce profit. Say it until it vibrates in your bones, not because the words themselves are magic, but because repetition is. The brain is an echo chamber. It amplifies whatever it hears most. Speak chaos, you live chaos. Speak command, and reality falls in line. The power of these 40 minutes is not found in motivation, it's found in calibration. Line your day into order. Today I command clarity in all decisions. I invite wealth because I move with intention. I am prepared for opportunities that others ignore. My mind is a field of order, and my actions produce profit. Say it until it vibrates in your bones, not because the words themselves are magic, but because repetition is. The brain is an echo chamber. It amplifies whatever it hears most. Speak chaos, you live chaos. Speak command, and reality falls in line. The power of these 40 minutes is not found in motivation, it's found in calibration. The mind, like an instrument, must be tuned daily. Without tuning, even the most expensive instrument produces noise. That what most people call stress, the sound of an untuned mind. Their thoughts are discordant, their beliefs conflicted, their actions scattered. But a tuned mind, a trained, disciplined, still mind, plays one clear note, and that note reverberates through every room it enters. People feel it. They can't always name it, but they respect it. It's the same vibration you feel when a great leader walks into the room, not arrogance, but certainty. The kind that says, I know who I am, and I know where I'm going. That's the aura of mastery, and it begins in silence. The greatest fortunes in history were not made by men who worked the hardest. They were made by men who thought the clearest. Rockefeller didn't stumble into oil. He trained his mind to see value where others saw risk. Buffett didn't build an empire by emotion. He learned to stay still while the world panicked. Edison didn't invent by chance. He rehearsed possibility until reality caught up. They practiced the same law. Calm thinking multiplied by consistent action equals compound power. And that power is available to every man who govern his own thought. The same law that multiplies money will multiply mindset because they are one and the same. The brain, when trained, becomes the most profitable asset in the world. It never depreciates. It compounds daily. But like all assets, it requires investment, attention, discipline, solitude. You cannot grow mentally wealthy while being addicted to noise. You cannot expand your vision while scrolling through the visions of others. Every distraction steals equity from your future. Every wasted hour drains interest from your potential. You must guard your mental portfolio ruthlessly as you guard your financial one. Audit your thoughts, track your focus, diversify your learning, but consolidate your direction. Never let the market of opinion dictate your next move, because while others chase trends, you are building law. Understand this, your life will always mirror your mental order. The disorganized man attracts disorganization. The disciplined man attracts structure. The abundant thinker attracts opportunities because he moves through the world the one who expects them. People trust that. Money trusts that. The universe trusts that you become predictable to success. It knows where to find you because you are in position daily. that what the 40-minute ritual does, it keeps you in position. It aligns you with law. It builds consistency so powerful that luck itself bends around it. And when doubt returns, it inevitably will. You meet it with command. You will not panic. You will not beg. You will simply think, breathe, and repeat, I am the authority here. That sentence is not arrogance, it is ownership. It means you no longer outsource your peace to circumstance. You no longer lease your confidence to outcomes. You no longer rent your worth from approval. You own it. You own your state, your standard, your stride. Because once a man learns to command his mind, there is nothing left to conquer. Everything else simply falls into line. You will know you have crossed into a new dimension of self when silence feels more valuable than conversation. When the morning light hits your face and you no longer reach for your phone but for your thoughts. When every breath feels like a decision, deliberate, steady, controlled. That when the rewiring has taken hold. You've moved from reacting to creating, from chasing to attracting, from doubt to dominion. You're no longer just trying to fix your life. You're constructing it brick by brick, thought by thought, law by law.
Sense can be the colors in the get. Who's definition from the first way you might. And no will feels different, not because it take, but because you live. And the will feels different, not because it take, but because you finally learn to see it through a mind that serves you. This is what it means to live as a man of command. You are not at war with life anymore. You are in alignment with it. You move with it. You shape it. You've learned that power was never found in control over others. It was in control over yourself. Most men don't reach this state because they confuse activity with evolution. They think progress means movement, but most movement is running in circles. Mental loops disguise their effort. They chase new goals every few weeks, new habits, new identities, never realizing the problem isn't that they don't know what to do, it's that they can't stay long enough in one mission to let the law of compound take over. The mind, like money, rewards duration. It multiplies whatever you feed it consistently. The men who master life are not the ones who know the most, they are the ones who stay the longest. They understand that the power is not in the sprint, but in the stillness. When you hold a thought long enough for it to grow roots, it begins to bear fruit in the real world. That's why patience isn't weakness, it's precision. It's the confidence of a man who knows his season will come, because he has built it in thought 1,000 times before it arrives. When you wake in the morning and command your mind, you are not just setting goals, you are setting law. You are declaring the rules by which your universe must operate. I think in alignment with wealth. I speak in the tone of power. I move in rhythm with divine order. These are not firm man, they are decrees. If spoken with authority, your subconscious will enforce them. Because the subconscious is loyal, not logical, it obeys repetition, not reason. Feed it weakness and it'll multiply excuses. Feed it order and it'll multiply strength. You don't become powerful because you think differently once. You become powerful because you think the same empowering thought until it becomes the only truth your mind accepts. That's how mental law is established, not through variety, but through repetition.
Why? But then to warn you, the world will try to break that focus. It'll tempt you with noise, with urgency, with distraction. It'll whisper that you're missing out, that you should chase what others are chasing. That's the trap of the untrained. You cannot serve two masters. Noise and purpose cannot coexist. The moment you allow distraction to become familiar, your power begins to scatter. Every notification you obey is a prayer you never said. Every moment of scrolling is a minute stolen from your fortune. The man who cannot sit in silence will never hear the voice of Deshin. And without ration, wealth becomes chaos, success becomes burden, and purpose becomes myth. So you must guard your morning like sacred ground. Before the world noise can reach you, reach yourself. Speak to your own mind, command it, align it. Do not think this practice small. It is the seed of all abundance. Every empire you see, every fortune built, every legacy carved into time began there a ritual of thought. One man, one morning, one moment of clarity. Over time, repetition became law. Law became identity. Identity became reality.
Seeds gets it has unseeked one of your birth and your another prospect you them just what was the old making so close. Holy level. Do this twice in some nice space. Witness my child man that was one among you, then he can get mom like and one will wide out him of it. Really a bell going. I'm thinking it was a fat from me like a money and other than like that. I'm commanding starting was very big. I want to other him kill that says can I ask him what the was that.
And from that state, nothing is impossible. The greatest transformation you've ever experienced is not when you achieve your goals, but when you realize you no longer need to fight to achieve them. They are the natural byproduct of who you have become. You move differently. You think slower but sharper. You no longer rush to speak, as you know your silence has weight. You no longer fear loss because you understand that what is truly yours cannot be taken. It can only be delayed until your belief catches up. This is what happens when you live in the rewired mind, not chaos, not desperation, but composure, calm precision, quiet confidence, the sound of power humming beneath every breath. When that becomes you, life ceases to be a test and becomes a partnership. You no longer plead for guidance, you receive it. You no longer chase validation, you command respect. You no longer fear uncertainty, you see it in the raw material of creation. The rewired man no longer seeks motivation because he is momentum itself. Every morning, he wakes and builds law. Every evening, he reviews his creation. Every thought, every action, every silence is intentional. And when the world looks at him and calls him lucky, he smiles quietly, cause luck is simply the reward for those who refuse to drift. When a man finally reaches this level of mastery, he understands that the true battle was never against poverty, against others, or against circumstance. It was always against the untrained version of himself. Every obstacle, every delay, every rejection was not there to rake him, but to reveal the parts of his mind that were still underdeveloped. Life is not punishing you. It is preparing you. It is chiseling you into alignment with the destiny you claim to want. That's why those who resist the lesson repeat it, while those who embrace it rise above it. The pain you once cursed becomes the proof of your power. The rejection you once feared becomes the redirection you thank God for. The silence that once scared you becomes the soil where clarity grows. This is the transformation the old world cannot understand. When struggle becomes strategy and solitude becomes sanctuary. The rewired mind does not run from difficulty if it understands that discomfort is the rent you paid for growth. Ease is for the ordinary. Pressure is for the chosen. The more responsibility you can hold without breaking, the greater your capacity to create. That is why you cannot pray for bigger blessings and then reject heavier burdens. They are the same package. Much is given, much is demanded. The man who commands his mind understands this law and no longer flees from the weight of purpose. He welcomes it. He sees challenge the training, chaos curriculum, and delayed discipline. He knows the storm is not a sign of failure but of favor, because only trees with deep roots are tested by strong winds, and the winds are blowing because something within you has finally begun to take root. You see, true wealth, is not the accumulation of money. It is the mastery of direction. It is the ability to take one definite thought and hold it until the world reshapes itself around it. That is why so many who win the lottery lose it, because they change their bank account before changing their blueprint. The external wealth can only last long, land the internal structure that holds it. Money obeys order. Energy obeys order. Even faith obeys order. That is why every morning ritual, every mental command, every repetition of law matters. Command is tates all you made. Just say as a tends to an example, cast you are clear, rocket, bad, you sleep, you sleep, you so like that's great. It's an English thing. Yeah, that's this no, you know, I'm getting to the external wealth can only last long, land the internal structure that holds it. Money obeys order. Energy obeys order. Even faith obeys order. That is why every morning ritual, every mental command, every repetition of law matters. To manage it's never a cloud, right? Like James of Blues. Get to you tickly, but with the the external wealth can only last long, land the internal structure that holds it. Money obeys order. And right that and get the community by doing The external wealth can only last long and the internal structure that holds it. Money obeys order. The external wealth can only last long and the internal structure that holds it. Money obeys order. Every morning you commit to discipline, you are strengthening the walls of that structure. Every time you control a reaction instead of exploding, you lay another stone of stability. Every time you choose patience over panic, focus over frenzy, you are building wealth that cannot be stolen, mental equity that multiplies in silence. And one day, without warning, everything begins to accelerate. Opportunities you once begged for begin to appear naturally. People who doubted you begin to seek your advice. Doors that were sealed begin to open. Not because the world changed, but because you finally did. You became the man the opportunity was waiting for. Understand this truth. You will never rise above the order of your thinking. You cannot outperform your belief system. You cannot outwork your identity. The ceiling you keep hitting is not the world. It is the limit of your self-image. That is why your mornings matter so much. Every day is a blank contract, and the words you speak at dawn are the signatures that decide how that day unfolds. If you start the day thinking in scarcity, you've already spent the day wealth before you leave the bed. But if you begin with certainty, precision, and gratitude, the entire day obeys your order. Gratitude in particular is the frequency of multiplication. It tells the universe, I already have enough to expand from. That's why the grateful man grows richer and the complaining man stays poor. They're both praying, but one prays in command and the other prays in chaos. And yet, even gratitude must be backed by direction. Gratitude without movement becomes comfort. Comfort breeds decay. So the rewired man thanks life, then acts. He wakes up with appreciation, but his hands are already in motion. He does not beg for abundance. He builds the conditions for it. His faith is active. He understands that prayer without precision is just noise, and precision without patience is just panic. So he learns to balance both, to pray like it all up to God, but to take like it all up to Him. That is the harmony of mastery. It is this harmony that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The ordinary man lives by default, reacting, hoping, scrolling, waiting for someone to save him. The extraordinary man lives by design, deciding, building, commanding, walking in alignment with unseen law. Does not wait for perfect conditions. He creates conditions that become perfect. He does not pray for an easy life. He asks for the strength to dominate a hard one. And once he learns to master that rhythm, he can never go back to the chaos of his old self. The noise no longer attracts him. The opinions of the crowd no longer control him. The reward of calm clarity outweighs the thrill of random distraction. That when you know you are free. Not when you have everything, but when nothing external can control your internal. Remember this, the mind is your only territory. Guard it with your life. Every day, thoughts will try to invade it. People will try to pollute it. Emotions will try to hijack it. But you are the gatekeeper. You decide who enters, who stays, who leaves. You are the sheriff of your own consciousness. And every time you let negativity pass without challenge, you surrender land that belongs to you. Every time you allow fear to occupy your imagination, you give away the blueprint of your next creation. You cannot build empires on borrowed land. So claim it. Take it back.
Repossess your own mind. That is the purpose of this ritual, this mindset, this practice. To remind you daily that you are not at the mercy of thought, you are its master. That life does not happen to you or being pious and force you to master the spirit, physical, with precision and faith. So rise, command your mind, build your law, and watch quietly, steadily, unshakably as your world bends to match it. One day you might realize that everything you wanted was waiting in one decision. The moment you stopped negotiating with your old self, the moment you said, no more restarts, no more maybe, tomorrow no more halfway belief. That was the turning point, the quiet revolution no one else saw, but everyone will feel, because change doesn't happen when the world sees you differently. Change happens when you finally see yourself differently. The shift is invisible at first, almost fragile, but it grows. Each time you wake up and speak command in your morning, it strengthens.
Each time you take action while others hesitate, it compounds. And then suddenly, without any ceremony, you've become the man your younger self dreamed about, not because of luck or timing, but because you finally made a lifelong contract with consistency and kept it. The truth is, discipline is divine. It is the bridge between your current world and the world that promised to you. Every time you act in discipline, you are voting for your higher self, and those votes add up. Most men never realize how close they are to transformation because they keep breaking their momentum with self-doubt. They tear down their own progress every time they start over. But when you stay consistent, when you stay in law, the world starts to treat you differently. Opportunities recognize you. People respect you. Even time seems to stretch to your favor. Because consistency is how you earn the universe's trust. You can't demand more when you haven't proven you can manage what you already have. But once you prove that, once you show that you not abandon your purpose no matter the weather, everything multiplies. Wealth, influence, peace, they come in gifts, but that rewards. The old mind wants fast results. The rewired mind wants mastery. The old mind wants to feel good. The rewired mind wants to build good. The old mind fears waiting. The rewired mind understands that delay is divine timing. The man who has rewired his thinking no longer prays for ease, he prays for endurance. He no longer asks for more, he asks to become more, because he understands that the blessings he seeks will crush him if he hasn't built the structure to hold them. So he wakes each morning not desperate for reward, but devoted to readiness. He sharpens his mind, he orders his emotions, he practices gratitude, he refines his speech because he knows one truth: when preparation meets opportunity, what others call luck is born. This is the path of the builder. It's not glamorous, it's not always exciting, it's slow, repetitive, sacred work, but it's the path that leads to lasting power. Every morning when you command your thoughts, you are chiseling identity into form. You are teaching your subconscious who the real authority is. You're planting the same seeds again and again until the roots go so deep that no storm can shake them. That's why the rituals matter. Not because they're magic, but because they're maintenance. They keep your mental foundation unshaken. A man without rituals drifts. A man with rituals dominates. As the rewiring deep pet, you'll begin to notice something subtle. The world starts responding to your energy faster. Things that used to take months begin to happen in weeks. You'll think of someone and they'll call. You'll write down an idea and an opportunity to act on it appear. This isn't superstition, it's synchronization. When your inner frequency matches the order of divine law, external reality aligns effortlessly. That's the real secret of manifestation, not mere wishing, but alignment. You become a living command. Your energy speaks for you before your words do. That's why presence matters more than persuasion. When your presence carries precision, the world listens. And yet, even as you grow, you must remember humility. True power is quiet. It doesn't need to prove, it simply moves. The greatest men in history didn't broadcast their certainty, they embodied it. They didn't chase the crowd, they built the standard the crowd later followed. That's the difference between noise and legacy. Noise gets attention for a moment, legacy commands forever. So your power expands. Don't let arrogance corrupt your focus. Stay rooted in gratitude, guided by discipline, and guarded by purpose. Every day, remind yourself, I am a vessel, not the source. The law flows through you, but it is not yours to boast, it is yours to obey. The rewired man understands the cycles of life, that harvest follows seed, that momentum follows patience, that mastery follows monotony. He doesn't need constant excitement to stay consistent. He knows that boredom is not a sign of failure, it's a sign that automation has begun. When you reach that stage, when your habits run on raw instead of motivation, that when compound begins, your discipline becomes your default. You no longer wake up to push yourself, you wake up because the mission itself pulls you. The energy that once took effort now flows naturally. And that when success becomes inevitable because it's no longer a goal, it's a rhythm. And to you the truth, if you tell you, once you master this rhythm, the external rewards lose their grip. You no longer chase the mansion, the applause, the validation. You appreciate them, but they no longer define you. You realize wealth was never the goal, it was the byproduct of alignment. Power was never the prize, it was the reflection of mastery. What you were truly after all along was peace, the kind of peace that comes only when your mind, your mission, and your movement are one. When you reach that peace, you stop chasing freedom and start living it. You move through the world like a storm in a still lake, at the same time fierce and calm, unstoppable and grounded. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings, don't just wake up. Rise with order in your spirit. Rise with command in your tone. Rise with purpose in your eyes. Speak the law of your day. Declare your wealth in thought, your strength in silence, your clarity in motion. And remember, the world will bend to the man who bends his mind first. The 40 minutes of thought you invest in yourself each morning are worth more than 40 hours of unfocused labor. The future you dream of is not built in the chaos of busyness, but in the stillness of mastery. So take your seat, command your mind, and lead your day like the man who already owns it, because he does.
The other rewiring is complete when you stop asking how long will it take and start saying as long as it takes. That when you've crossed from the mindset of a wanderer into the mind of a king. The wanderer needs proof or belief. The king believes until proof appears. The wanderer prays for signs. The king acts the sign. The wanderer hopes for alignment. The king grew in alignment. This is the shift the world ne'er teaches. The transition from seeking power to embody it. You longer chase blessings. These have become the blessed. You longer chase opportunities. As opportunity is drawn to order and your life has become ordered, the more you refine your thinking, the more magnetic your reality becomes. You are no longer building from effort, you are building from energy, deliberate, directed, and divine. Every morning becomes a throne room. You sit in silence and issue command, not to others, but to yourself. You speak wealth before you see it, strength before you feel it, vend before you understand it. That faith in action, not blind belief, but strategic conviction.
You'll be on the seat or the head or a grace, not the mud, preserve and
If the ability has to land, the throne you live in, I can hear this do it.
Please don't wait for the world to mark your worth, because you've already written the decree in your mind. When you declare, I am built for wealth, I am built for purpose, I am built for greatness, the subconscious receives the order and begins rearranging every thought, emotion, and habit to match that identity. And when those internal gears shift, the outer world cannot help but obey. That's why you must speak with precision. Words are not mere sound, they are signals, and your subconscious listens like a soldier awaiting command. If you whisper confusion, it builds hesitation. If you speak certainty, it builds consistency. The rewired man no longer prays to escape his problems, he prays for the wisdom to solve them, because he understands that wisdom is the highest currency. It creates wealth that can't be stolen and confidence that can't be shaken. The mind of mastery sees every obstacle as an instruction, every setback as strategy, every failure as feedback. He doesn't say, why man? He says, what for? And that simple shift from complaint to curiosity transforms the entire landscape of his life. Because while others drown in reaction, he rises through reflection.
That's what separates the strong from the scattered. The strong pause, observe, and recalibrate. They don't crumble when plans change. They pivot, adapt, and continue forward. There will come a point where the very things that used to anger you now amuse you. You'll start to smile when faced with difficulty, but you'll see it for what it is. Training. The universe is not punishing you, it is strengthening your mental armor. Each challenge is designed to measure very much law you've truly internalized. Do you still panic when things go off course? Do you still shrink when uncertainty rises? Or have you learned to remain composed, calm, and calculating? Because that's the test, and when you pass it, the lesson never returns. The moment you no longer rake under pressure, you qualify for the next level of power. That's why the reward for mastery is more responsibility. The greater your control, the greater your command. Understand this, wealth without wisdom is a curse. Many men gain money but lose their mind. They build empires and destroy themselves inside them. But the rewired man builds both in harmony. His wealth is a reflection of order, not obsession.
His abundance doesn't enslave him. frees him to serve purpose at a higher level. He moves through life like a conductor, directing energy, not chasing it. His presence calms chaos. His actions create clarity. He has no need to shout, but his silence already speaks volumes. The world senses it in him, that quiet authority that only comes from a man who has mastered his own inner storms. And when you reach this level, you'll begin to see how everything is connected. The way you breathe, the way you think, the way you spend your mornings, it adds up. Every moment is a deposit into your future. Every decision is either compounding your destiny or delaying it. That's why awareness is your greatest tool. Awareness lets you see the patterns before they form. It lets you catch the old thoughts before they take root again. It lets you guide your energy toward creation instead of reaction. That's what it means to be awake, not that conscious, but in command. In time, others will come to you, drawn by your composure, your clarity, your quiet confidence.
They'll ask how you did it, how you built peace in a world addicted to noise. And you'll smile, not because you found the secret, but because you've become it. You'll tell them the truth no one wants to hear. That transformation isn't found in new information, but in disciplined repetition. That success isn't about intensity for a week, but consistency for a lifetime. That peace isn't given, it's trained. You'll tell them that the wealth they seek doesn't begin in their wallet, but in their words, in their rituals, in their mornings. So if you're listening to this now, understand this is your moment of choice. You can drift back into noise, or you can step into command. You can continue chasing results, or you can become the kind of man results chase. You can live by reaction, or you can rule by action. The world won't give you permission, it never does. You must declare it. You must rise, speak law, and move with intention. Because once you do, the noise fades, the chaos bows, the path clears.
Oh, you'll know you've arrived not when everyone sees you winning, but when nothing outside you can make you lose. And so, tomorrow when the sun rises and the world begins its endless motion, will you not rush with it? You will stand in the stillness and issue your decree. You will breathe deep, let silence crown you, and say with quiet certainty, I am the law of my life. I command my day, I direct my mind, I multiply my peace, I move in purpose. Then you react, without hesitation, without doubt, without apology, because the moment you do, the universe moves to, not against you, but with you. And in that partnership, in that sacred synchronization between thought and action, man and law, silence and power, your life will never be the same again.